This is the typical skinny fat physique, commonly referred to as the dad bod. Minimal muscle, excess fat, and just a tad bit overweight. And here's the truth. This type of body is becoming the norm for most guys. And here's the problem. Most guys think that the only solution is doing endless cardio or starving themselves. And that's wrong. And if you do that, you'll stay in that endless cycle stuck forever. So how do you lose fat, build muscle, and stay lean all at the same time? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it step by step. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know the exact formula that you need to replicate in order to transform your body without wasting months on doing the wrong approach, as well as having an enjoyable life. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I would do to address the skinny fat problem is first attack the fat. How? I would go ahead and change up my nutrition strategy. So I would first want to establish a baseline, and that's over a 1 week period where I would take a look at all of the calories that I'm consuming. So go ahead and either download an app or use an Excel spreadsheet and just take a look at all the different foods that you're eating over the course of a week and see how many calories on a daily basis that you're consuming. That way you can give yourself an idea, okay, where am I at today? And you have to be as honest as possible for this exercise to work, because if you are not honest and you're not tracking everything that you're eating, well then it's impossible for you to get in control to be able to make those adjustments afterwards to address the fat. Now, the second thing that I would do is go ahead and optimize my macro split. How do I do that? Well, first thing that I would do is go ahead and take off my clothes. Alright, there we go. Should I take these off as well? No? Okay. Nobody asked. Alright. And let's go ahead and jump on the scale. Apologies for those who are Americans, and you're going to have to do a little bit of work to convert. So at that point in time, I have approximately 70 kilograms here as my example because we're dealing. Let me put some clothes on. All right, where were we? We were talking about optimizing the macro split. So first thing that I would want to do is ensure that I'm getting 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. I always like to round it up because it's between 1.6 to 2.2 that you can go ahead to target, but I just like to round up to 2, and that way I know that it's easy math. So 2 times 70 kilograms is 140 grams. So I make sure that in my daily, I'm consuming 140 grams of protein approximately. If I can do that, I'm going to be in good shape to feed the muscle. The second thing that I would do is change around my distribution for the macros. We're looking at 30% of protein, 50% carbs, and a 20% fat breakdown. So if we were to take a look at in terms of grams, we're looking at around 147 grams of protein, around 140, like I said, so give or take. 246 for your carbs and 83 for fats. We're looking at approximately 2,500 kilocalories. Now, I know that for your baseline up here, you may be at an amount that is higher. In fact, you should be at somewhat of a higher amount. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead afterwards and apply the third step. Now, just before I jump into the third step, I did want to mention to you all that it's important for you to go ahead and hit your carbs and consume fats as well, because typically guys would go ahead and starve themselves, and I completely discourage that because one, you're not going to have enough energy in order to go ahead and perform your weight training. And second, well, the fact that you're starving yourself, it makes for that you're not going to get the protein in your body, And if you don't have that, well, it's going to be very difficult for you to strength train and grow the muscle. So you need to hit your protein and your carbs, and you can't neglect your fats to ensure that you have adequate hormone production level for your recovery in order to build those muscles. So coming back to the third step here, 200 to 500 kilocalories reduction. This is something that you want to do gradually. And the reason why you want to do this gradually is because you don't want to shock your body. Your body wants to stay relatively stable. It wants to stay in that homeostasis. So if you go ahead and shock your body by dropping your calories so low too fast, it's going to actually do everything in its power to retain that fat, because it's telling itself, oh my God, I'm starving and I don't want to die. So you need to go gradually, kind of like that trick that you see where instead of putting a frog in a pot of boiling water where he jumps out, well, you put the frog in a pot of water and then you slowly heat the water until it rises, and that's how the frog is going to cook without jumping out. So that's a little bit of a morbid example, but this just goes to show how your body, it really needs to go through these steps gradually, and that's what I would do to ensure that I am going to be attacking the fat without sacrificing my strength that I'm going to need to build my muscle. So once you reduce your caloric intake from around 2 to 500 kilocalories, what I would do then is I would monitor, and I would see, how my body is changing over time. And once I see that my weight has stabilized somewhat and my look is stabilizing as well, it's changing gradually, but it comes to a point where it's stable again, then I would again reduce further another 200 to 500 kilocalories, and I would just keep doing this loop until I achieve the desired look that I want. So that is what I would do first. I don't want to lose the energy because I need that energy for strength training to build the muscle. So go ahead and do this cycle first because you want to attack the fat without sacrificing the energy. And I still want to, live a relatively happy life. I don't want to be miserable and cut out all the joys of life in terms of food. Guys, one thing that I do want to note is that it is important that you keep in mind that some of you may have eating disorders. So I would definitely consult a physician or a nutritionist if you are in that category, because what I'm explaining should fit for most people, but there are some people who have health issues, serious health issues. So make sure to go ahead and consult a specialist, because they can guide you in order to help you, break down what you're going to do to try to go ahead and hit these targets with the appropriate foods, depending on your circumstances. There's some of you as well who may have some allergies and intolerances, so you're going to have to factor that in, but I would say, consult a specialist, a nutritionist, or a physician if you have serious health problems, because we want to make sure that you stay safe while you go ahead and cut down to chase that perfect body that you want. Now, if you found today's video helpful, go ahead and drop a comment if you have any more questions or anything else that you'd like me to cover. And if you did enjoy today's content, go ahead and smash that like button. Train hard, train smart, and I'll catch you in the next one.